So I just finished Snowfall, the series created by John Singleton, the late great John Singleton. And I just have to say, if you hear my voice sound a little slower than normal and a little draggy, it's because I am taking and using everything I'm worth not to just fall out crying. When I tell you that series ended so true to life as to how some people's life turned out, um, I never thought that I would look at it at the end and say, wow, what a great portrayal of a character. I love films that are character portrayals, like basically showing you how characters got to where they are. I never would have thought the main character, Franklin Saint, would have ended up, where he was. I did not see that coming. And because we knew him to be so smart and bright and have such potential coming up, to see where he lands, when I tell you, it's so sad. I know everyone doesn't feel this way because some people are just despicable, but if I wouldn't care what color I was, if I saw that, I would feel so sad. I've watched films with, white people in it, and I've, gotten really sad at, what befell them. So I know if I was white, I would, feel bad. And I say that because there's, people who like to judge us on how we as African Americans or Latinos turn out, especially here in America, And so that's why I made the comment I just made. But man, I don't even have it in me to do a 15-minute episode on what it is that I think I need to still process what I just watched. And first of all, it was kind of long. It was kind of draggy. And I would say not in a bad way, but it was, but only in a bad way because I was, the last 17 minutes, I was like, okay, but what's going to happen? Okay, but how's it, and everything was just a shocker after a shocker after a shocker. And some of it I appreciated, just being a fan of the show and, like, oh, wow, okay, that happened. Oh, exciting, exciting. Especially when they caught up with Peaches. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But there were some things that happened that I just was like, ugh, like, wow. One of the things I will say that I hated that nobody owns their crap. The only one was the mother sissy. She said we all played a part. And I do believe everybody played a part in how everything went down. This is one of the, I'm sorry to be all over the place, but this is probably one of the best series that I saw that was a serial, meaning that the main storyline continues every episode. And not only did they stick to the subject, but everything that happened was something that came out of the main storyline. A lot of times series will have a storyline and then other characters will have their storylines. And then maybe for 2 episodes, it'll be about this other character, and then someone else's storyline may be the sub storyline in another 2 episodes or whatever. But for this one, it was like everyone was involved in this thing that, was like a tree with branches. It just kept growing and touching people's lives. But when it did, it would just grab them and pull them in. Not so much as be a totally different storyline, but because you, the main character, know them, we get to see, what happened or what befell your friend. No, not like that. Not like, oh, because this is your mother or your father and this is their boss. And so we get to see a little something that happened as a sub storyline. No, this was the main storyline reaching out to all the other characters and just snatch them in. I want to say sucking them in because it really was. But, like I said, I can't find the words. It just was, everything about it was great. I thought I was sad when I saw Joker, the movie Joker, because I love character profile movies. And like I said, granted, this is a series, but I love the way And I don't even think that they did it on purpose. I think they just wanted to tell a story about cocaine or crack in, the 80s. And in the course of them telling the story about it, we get, some history, things that really did happen. Now, as far as the whole main storyline of him, Ted, the CIA guy, putting drugs on the street to make money so that they could fund a war. I feel like I remember hearing some talk, but there's so many conspiracy theories floating, and I'm so busy trying to deal with my health and trying to make it in this world or in life, and chasing entertainment, just different things that I really can't remember if that was actual or not. It could have just been them, grabbing a story based on things we heard, but I feel like it may have been true. I just don't know. But that aside, everything else that you saw happen, like Wanda's life with the drugs and, the bounce back, her getting herself together, the father's bounce back, which I really did think the father was going to slip again. Just everything, it was just so true to form as far as what happened in the 80s around the way. And the thing that's weird is this is the first time I've ever seen anything mock life on the East Coast, because normally when we would see films like Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society, that took place on the West Coast in California, you could relate to certain things, but there was always this disconnect, not just because of their weather, but also because of their culture, probably, which evolved or had something to do with the weather, the warm, dry climate, sunny skies or whatever. Although when I went to California, I didn't see it like that, but that's the way Hollywood always gift wraps it to us when they put it in films. But in any case, when you see films made in California, usually it's almost like I find myself and everybody I've watched it with kind of looking and seeing, oh, wow, it's like that. Or saying, yeah, because of someone I know, that lived there, told me, it's always something like that. But it's always like we can relate to one or two things, but not really just their whole culture, because it's so different, like there's African Americans, there's Spanish people, Mexicans, like we'll have a franchise Taco Bell. They'll have, like how we have bodegas here, they'll have stores or restaurants or trucks that sell, the different Mexican foods, like Second Nature. We don't really have that. Even when you go in a bodega, it's like American foods. I think once in a while I come across a bodega that may, cook Spanish food. But you normally don't see that. Now, granted, there's some Peruvian restaurants and Chilean and, so on and so forth, Brazil or whatever, but those are like restaurants. I'm just saying that the whole culture in California is different. And no matter which film you watch, even if you go there to visit, there's certain things that you see there that is just different than the East Coast. But this is the first time that I've actually seen a series, film, show, whatever, that actually not pointed out, that was very much like what happened on the East Coast. Everything. Language, clothes, style. Granted, of course there were a few things. I don't think we wore lumberjacks like that. In California, it seemed like they wore lumberjacks for like decades, if not for a long time. Like I feel like they were wearing lumberjack shirts in the 70s, 80s, 90s. You know what I mean? Like maybe they stopped late 90s, early 2000s. I don't know. It's just the way it seems to me, because every time I look and I see a film or show, not now, but back then, it was always lumberjack, around the way. But here, I think we just kind of went through a little phase with the lumberjack shirt. And then, they kind of passed by with like every other phase or fashion statement or whatever. But other than that, everything just really seemed very parallel, especially the end result of what happened to Franklin. And the other characters, everybody who was, this is why my mother, she used to say to me, don't go out there and be, following your friends or misbehaving or trying to show out for people or following people or whatever, because the same people you see now, you won't even see them 3 or 5 years from now. And she said that to me so much that I literally would go out someplace and I would think about it. She's also saying that little laugh that you get for about 3 seconds or a minute, it wasn't worth the trouble that you got in. And so those things used to just play in my mind. And this was pretty much the epitome of that, because the characters, you see them around the way, their community, just kind of growing up in all generations, and, people are involved, how they say it takes a village to raise a child. You see people trying, you see some people not trying. It's just a community. And then all of a sudden you get to the last season and people have pretty much either been killed or died, or they've left. They've sprouted out in the world and are doing something totally different, And I don't know, I found that, really interesting, because it, like I said, the way it all happened was, to me, in my opinion, very true to form with the way that I saw things as I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and as a young adult in the 90s. Yeah, it's just very true to form, but my heart, it's hard. I'm not one of those people that like to give out spoilers, so I can't say much, but this is one of those times I'm extremely tempted, tempted, but not tempted because I just am, not because I'm like very tired. It is literally 1:40, April 30th, and I binged watched Snowfall the past few nights, actually, because I told you I think in the other episode I said that I was 2 seasons behind. And so in the past like 4 days, what I do is I work in the day, get all my work done, my writing, editing, whatever I have to do. And then in the evening, I will have deserved a break in which I will watch, whatever series I'm on. And so I was watching The Last Kingdom, finished that, and then said, you know what, let me watch Snowfall, because that's on my list, that and Wu-Tang. So I said, all right, let me, go ahead and watch it. And as I mentioned in the other episode, I began watching it, and I love it. I love it, and I just really got really caught up in the characters and everything that they were doing and the goings on. The writing was really good. I can't think of one episode where the writing was like, what, it was really good. And I'm happy because I know John Singleton is, or was a great writer, producer, director. And he, always, I don't know if he wrote the films that he produced and directed. I just know he produced and directed them. I'll double check that. But I just know that he always furnished some really good, films. And so I had no doubt that, I was going to like it. I just didn't know I was going to be this much invested. And now I'm heartbroken. I'm really, really heartbroken. And I'm tired. I'm dog dead tired. Very sleepy, can pass out. My throat hurts because I'm trying not to cry, because let me tell you, this last episode in the last season of Snowfall is aside from the crime, the whole snatching somebody and tying them and all this kind of stuff, that aside, I'm just talking about people's lives and the direction that it went. It was very much true to form. And even though, I grew up seeing that in the 70s and the 80s or whatever, there are still things like that that were happening in 2000, and that's happening even now, where, the people who were the top of their class, who were doing really well in school and life and sports or whatever, they had scholarships, a lot of potential. However, it ends up going in the toilet because the things that they are surrounded by in their community eventually suck them in, right? Or either, a girl gets caught up with a guy and gets pregnant, or a guy gets a girl pregnant, and then, he's trying to be responsible, or just throws his hands up and starts gravitating towards, the negative things. whatever the case may be. Like you see where people's lives, really can take that turn. And I hate to say for the worse. I would love to just say it took a different turn and then maybe they made lemonade out of lemons, but it's not always like that. And so I don't know. Snowfall just really captured a lot of our community. And I don't think it's too much different in the Midwest because it definitely reflected what happens here on the East Coast. And honestly, sometimes we say a lot of things about the African American or Latino or people of color community. But if you really take time out to like listen to even, white people who live in middle class or the below poverty level communities, you'll find out that, we experience a lot of the same things. We may have a different flavor from them and they may have a different flavor from us, but we experience a lot of the same things, which makes you think like, I forget which scholar it was who said it, but he said something about it's the poverty that makes people behave and do the things that they do. It's not their race, it's not their religion, it's not their nationality. It's poverty itself that makes people resort to, stealing, robbing, selling illegal things and doing that kind of thing. So, I don't know. It's just something I wanted to make mention about because sometimes we see these series and, we watch them, and especially people from other countries, they think, oh, that's how Black people are. And we have, like every other race, we have so many different classes of people. And even in the lower class, we have good people who their head is screwed on straight and they want good for themselves. They want better for themselves. And then even in the upper crust communities, you get jackasses and people who just don't appreciate what they have and they end up, falling off, just turning out not so great, turning out a disappointment. So you get all, people are people, we got to stop. But anyway, I'm not going into that. Snowfall was great. If you have not watched it, I suggest you check it out. Start from season 1 and work your way up. If you're like me, you'll enjoy it. Have your snacks. If you don't have them, go out and buy a bunch of them and stack them and tell people don't touch it. It's for your movie. It's for your series that you're binging. Snowfall by John Singleton. Enjoy it. I'm going to put this on several places. It's going to go on CatchCod, our streaming, me and my partner's streaming platform, which is going to make it accessible on Amazon TV, Apple TV, and Roku. It's also going to go on our It's going to go on our YouTube page, so you'll be able to capture it there. And then I'm going to, of course, put it up on the different podcast platforms, so you can check it out there. But just go and check out the other, the other podcasts that I've made. Enjoy. Hopefully you get something from it. I'm going to do more series and TV reviews, and probably it'll be a little tighter with them. These are just random because I just really felt like I had to talk about Snowfall, and I didn't necessarily take a lot of notes, some, but not a lot. So the next ones that I'll be recording will be a little more on point, or a little more focused, maybe I should say that. But anyway, go check out Snowfall and have your tissues when you start getting to the last season, because my eyes are so heavy and I haven't even cried. I'm just trying not to cry. It's You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Dead Presidents. Okay, so if you want something to think about, something that is parallel to, think about Dead Presidents with Lorenz Tate and Chris Tucker. That's all I gotta say about that. Yeah. It is very much in that same vein. Yeah. Anyway, this is Andrea. I am signing off. I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to my rants about films and writing and, writing about character and all of this other good stuff about entertainment. And I just pray that I can continue to, just bring you some more interesting things, give you some more golden nuggets or gems that, you can either just enjoy or benefit from in your writing and your acting and your producing or directing or whatever it is that you're doing in entertainment. I just pray that I can be some sort of inspiration. So I am signing off now. This is Andrea with I'm Just Saying Entertainment Podcast.